In this video, we're going to be breaking down a trade show display that was built by Recreate Designs for Handmade Montana. And this is really cool. This is a trade show shelf that they put together, and it's really awesome. There's a couple of things that's really cool in here that I can't wait to highlight. But basically, they just built this to kind of highlight some of the upcycled goods that they sell. And again, this is Recreate Designs on Instagram. I'll link them down below if you want to check them out. But basically, they just built this simple shelving system to display everything here, as you can see. And then, like I said, there's some cool stuff that we're going to talk about along the way. But we're just going to break this down. And this is made entirely out of electrical conduit. This looks like 3/4 inch trade size EMT conduit. And if you have no experience with EMT conduit, you can find it off the shelf at places like Lowe's and Home Depot, different hardware and home improvement stores. And you can cut it really easily with a handheld pipe and tube cutter. And then these steel parts that they are using to put the conduit together are made by us in upstate South Carolina. And we manufacture those here, and then we ship those all over the country to people that are building all kinds of awesome stuff like you see here, which is really cool to see this build. And we love it when small businesses and people are able to use our parts for awesome projects like this. But basically, if we look here at this and kind of start breaking it down, it's really simple. It's just 4 verticals going up in the corners here, and we'll just kind of highlight and break this down. So 4 verticals going up in the corners. Again, that's 3/4 inch EMT conduit. And basically, I'm pretty sure it's all T-connectors. So T-connector is by far our most popular and versatile connector. It allows you to join 2 pieces of EMT conduit together. You have one that runs through the top half of the connector and then one that terminates in the bottom half of the connector. And it looks like they're using all T-connectors for this for the technique of this shelf here. And basically, we'll just start here at the bottom, and I think the same technique is mirrored throughout. But basically, there's 2 T-connectors that are kind of offset from each other and pointed in different directions. So basically, you've got this one here, and then you've got one that's kind of going from front to back. And this is kind of creating a 90-degree connector that we have already. But the difference is this is offset, and there's different reasons that you might do that instead of using the 90-degree connector. Not entirely sure why they did in this build, but they might have a reason, or they might not, because some people just like to buy all T connectors and then use those for their project, and you can use them really they're really versatile, like I said. Definitely the most versatile system or connector in the system. So basically, they've got the vertical running through the top half of the T connector. Then they've got a horizontal piece of conduit terminating in the T and going from one side to the other, terminating over there. And then here we've got another one terminating in that T and then running to the back. And I would imagine it's just mirrored in the back there, which with just the same technique with the 2 T's offset from each other. That's the same thing that's happening here with the horizontal meeting and terminating there. And then, of course, the one going to the back that terminates in that back T connector that's mirrored again. Now, it looks like they did that same design up at the very top. You can see the 2 T's that are offset from each other. So that's the same, but then it looks like they did something a little different for these middle 2 shelves, which is still the T connector, but instead of having that piece that goes from one side to the other, it's just the T connector and then the piece of conduit that's running from the front to the back there. And then it's got those vertical pieces of conduit running through the T connector, and kind of completing the shelf here, because all they do is just basically these pieces of wood are just resting on that piece of conduit on both sides, and then it just goes from one side to the other, and it's just resting there, and that's kind of how they made the shelves for the middle ones. And then I think the top and bottom shelf are resting on the side pipes as well. It doesn't look like they're doing anything too heavy. Looks like it's all pretty lightweight stuff, so you don't have to worry too much about the conduit bending. If you put some really heavy stuff on some shelving, you might consider adding some bracing either directly under the piece of conduit, so you grab onto that T and then go from one side to the other. They might have done that. I can't see anywhere that they did that, but I don't think that she did. But basically, you could add that if you need that extra bracing, if you're doing something that's really heavy and you're afraid the shelf's going to collapse or something. We don't want that to happen, of course. So you might consider adding that bracing there from side to side. You just use 2 more T connectors and add that there. This is really cool and pretty simple. It's just mostly are all T connectors, which is really awesome. And then there's a couple of really cool things I want to highlight here about this build. So basically, we can see that on the back here, this is super cool and a great idea, I think. So basically, they've got this pegboard here. You can get this stuff cheap, super inexpensive at like Lowe's and Home Depot and places like that. And it's just this pegboard here. And basically what they've done is they've used some of the conduit spring clips that we have on the website here. And basically those are just secured to the pegboard, and those just snap onto the the 3/4 inch EMT conduit. And works really well and snaps on. It's made for broomsticks and things like that, but they work really well for EMT conduit projects like this. But what I think is super clever is this gives a backstop for the display, so it has a nice background for the display of their products. But then they're actually utilizing the opposite side of this. They've put these pegs in there, and they've got bags and different materials and things hanging up on the back, but they're nice and organized and out of the way, and they can easily access them, which is just a really great idea and just a really clever use of materials there. Love seeing that. Then they also added some remote powered lights under here that are just some LED, I would imagine battery powered, maybe rechargeable, and then you use a remote to change the color and turn those off and on. Just a really cool build, nice and simple thing, small footprint, but it kind of achieves the job, which is displaying the products nicely, and then it has all those different materials and things organized on the back side of it with the pegboard hack that they used, which is just really cool. So really awesome. Thanks so much for sharing this, Carol from Recreate Designs. I'll link their Instagram down below if you want to check it out. She's making all kinds of cool stuff, and we really appreciate her sharing this build. Thanks everybody for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and consider subscribing, and we'll see you in the next one.